big brand theory is really how big brands interact and how they can now get into the new digital world. And I think where we play in that is we come at it from an inherently local perspective. So Yelp was built from the ground up on local, so literally dealing with local businesses. But in today's world, local is now relevant to everybody, including big brands, meaning the local Domino's is now my Domino's, and I interact with them on a one-to-one basis. So it's a very different interaction than what it used to be. And so we talk about a lot of word of mouth online, and word of mouth has been going on forever. And so now it's just in this online medium, conversations going on, and we encourage big brands to join the conversation and talk to their customers. Where we have been is really, it's been driven by, media, it's been driven by the advertisers, and I think a fundamental shift that's going on is that consumers, with the advent of a lot of the social and a lot of the technologies, has now come to the forefront and is more in control than ever before. And so I think what that means for big advertisers and for media in general is that they're going to begin to have to think about how consumers interact with their brands online, how they consume them, where they spend their time and where they interact online, and to bring the media and customized messaging to them where they consume it. And so Richard and I were just talking about, at a certain point, do you really need to talk about mobile in and of itself, or do you really become platform agnostic because it doesn't really matter where your customers are consuming your messaging? There's actually research that came out of a company called 15 Mile, formerly TMP Directional Marketing. And their research actually says exactly that, which is people research online, but inherently buy within 15 miles of their home base, if you will. Now that varies if you're traveling, and that's where kind of the utility nature of some of the services out in the marketplace like Yelp come into play. But really the connecting the dots between the online research and the offline purchase, I think that's the next big aha moment of how to solve that problem, and it's very difficult, which is, I made the joke during the presentation of absent putting barcodes on the back of somebody's heads, how do you really track that? People come in, sometimes they answer bingo cards and say, hey, we heard about you from, Yellow Pages, we heard about you from City Search, we heard about you from a friend from Yelp. So it's really hard to close that loop, and there's a couple of different ways that it happens today. One is redemption of coupons. One is via telephone tracking, so call tracking, how many calls do I get? Some of the newer things that we're seeing, so to your question about kind of new media and how that's impacting it, I think just one example is the check-in feature that you're seeing from some of the application providers out there. We launched a check-in feature for Yelp, and it really helps the small business owners to big brands, because we can now roll that check-in data into all their other metrics to say, not only did you have this many people find your listings in search when they were searching for a pizza place, Domino's, but we also had 5,000 people check in at your stores across the country. So it's another closed loop mechanism. At Yelp, we have, I think as of this week, close to 400 employees. So if you think about 400 versus 32 million people come in each month to the site, we're a very, very small part. Furthermore, we've heard the phrase, the Chinese wall, on the sales side, and sales represents a big chunk of our employee base. We're actually not allowed to write reviews. Separation of church and state makes a lot of sense. And so, in that respect, I'm not part of the community, and probably for all the right reasons. But I'm a big user of the tool, especially as I travel a lot for my job. And so I use it a lot when I get into Miami, where's the closest place to go get, the best Cuban food in the neighborhood. The Yelp community, local Miami community, knows exactly where. So that's where it becomes a useful service for me, whether I'm traveling, whether it's back home. But again, there's kind of a separation between the employees and then the community as well.